The recent collapse in support for the two big political parties in the UK has sparked a flurry of interest in smaller, more radical alternatives. On the right, you've obviously got Nigel Farage's Reform Party, but the left-wing alternative isn't so clear. With the Greens and the new Corbyn-Sultana party, there are at least two left-of-Labour alternatives, three if you count the Lib Dems as well, who are all competing for similar ideological ground. However, in recent weeks there's been a fair bit of speculation about some sort of left-wing alliance. So in this video we're going to look at this potential alliance and how it could shake up British politics. Dive deeper into politics with our magazine Too Long. Yeah, we make a real physical magazine. In the latest issue, we discuss if Starmer just has no vision for Britain, if Farage could become Prime Minister, and ask if we're observing the end of the American order. Find out more by clicking the link in the description. Let's start with a bit of context. Since the early 20th century, the Labour Party has been the dominant left-wing party in the UK, with a range of achievements from the NHS to the welfare state. However, under Keir Starmer, the party has tacked to the centre, especially since coming into government, which has in turn opened the party up to more criticism from the left-wing base, which Labour historically depended on. The policies that have drawn the most ire from the left include cuts to welfare spending, especially the proposed cuts to personal independence payment and cuts to winter fuel allowance, and a refusal to entertain meaningful tax rises. Many parts of the left have also been upset by Starmer's echoing of controversial anti-migrant rhetoric and his slow response to Israel's escalating assault on Gaza. While this partly explains why Labour have been falling in the national polls, it also helps to explain the decline in more specific polling. YouGov, for instance, found last month that 22% of Labour defectors said that they left due to the fact that the party is too right-wing, in comparison to only 2% of defectors who said that it's because the party are too left-wing, with migration being the primary cause for defections towards Reform UK. And Starmer himself is also now less popular than many of the more explicitly left-wing politicians in the party. For instance, Ipsos polling from early July found that more people thought that Andy Burnham, Mayor of Manchester, would make a better Labour leader than Starmer. In fact, Starmer's net approval rating on this question, that is the percentage of respondents saying that they think he'd make a good leader, minus the percentage saying they don't, was lower than every other politician included in the survey, apart from his own Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. Now, the recently created Corbyn-Sultana party, which is currently unnamed, clearly aims to capitalise on this left-wing antipathy towards Labour. Both Corbyn and Sultana were suspended from the Labour Party and have emerged as leaders of the British pro-Palestine movement. Corbyn claims that the party has received 600,000 email sign-ups, and new polling from YouGov suggests that 31% of Labour voters may be willing to seriously consider voting for the new Corbyn party. This is particularly true for young voters. Corbyn's approval ratings sit at positive 18 for 18 to 24-year-olds, while Starmer has now dropped to negative 30 with the same demographic. However, the obvious electoral risk for this new party is that it could end up splitting the left-wing vote with the Greens, who are sort of the established left-of-Labour party in the UK. This would be electorally disastrous under the UK's first-past-the-post electoral system, potentially enabling Labour, or even some right-wing party like Reform or the Conservatives, to steal seats with only a tiny fraction of the vote. A similar phenomenon has occurred in France, where in the 2022 presidential election, the far-left vote was split between Mélenchon and the two French communist parties, the PCF and the LO, which kept him away from the second-round runoff by just 3.4% of the vote. The French left reacted by forming a broad left-wing alliance for last year's legislative elections, which worked remarkably well, with the left-wing alliance winning a plurality of seats. Anyway, one answer to this problem has already been floated by Green Party leadership candidate Zach Polanski, who recently said that he was, quote, open to an alliance between the Corbyn-Sultana party and the Greens. In many ways, they appear to be natural partners, with similar support and policy ambitions. For context, Polanski is currently running in the Green leadership election as a solo candidate in an attempt to break the dual leadership system that the Green Party has had for years now. His self-styled eco-populism, which basically involves arguing that most of the UK's various woes can be solved by taxing the rich, seems pretty effective. with Novara Media claiming that the Green Party's membership has jumped 8% since he announced his bid for leadership on May 5th. Polanski is apparently the favourite in the current leadership race, and some sort of alliance between him and the Corbyn-Sultana party seems natural, given the overlap in their politics. They're both left-wing parties with a focus on wealth distribution. They're both very critical of the government's lethargic response to Gaza, and both Polanski and Corbyn have in the past expressed skepticism towards NATO. Polanski actually went one further last month, telling the Huffington Post, "I've read Corbyn's statement and I can't see a single thing that's not Green Party policy or doesn't align already with the Green Party." Although he also suggested his ideal outcome would be if Corbyn and co joined the Green Party. Assuming this doesn't happen, however, the alliance between the two parties would potentially take the shape of an electoral pact where the parties refuse to run candidates against each other in the same constituency and mutually endorse each other's candidates in order to consolidate the left-wing vote. Now, of course, it's difficult to predict how electorally appealing any Green-Corbyn alliance would be, given the platform of the party and the nature of the alliance are both unknown. It's also worth noting that sitting Green MPs have already come out to oppose the idea, and even if Polanski is open to it, he's still got a job to do in convincing the rest of the party. Nonetheless, an operational left of Labour coalition would be a real problem for Labour. Labour are already hemorrhaging voters to the right via reform, and recent polls suggest that the combined support for the Greens and Corbyn-Sultana party comes to about 15%, which would be enough to beat the Labour candidate in lots of seats. Other polling suggests that Labour's remaining vote is pretty soft, in that a 42% plurality of Labour voters say that they're mainly supporting Labour because they think that they're best placed to prevent a right-wing government. Even if this new left alliance can't overtake Labour as the most likely alternative to a reform government, this polling still suggests that Labour's current vote is soft enough that Corbyn and co could peel away more voters from it in the future, especially if Labour continues to underperform and Corbyn and co can avoid collapsing into infighting, which is the problem that usually plagues more radical upstarts in British politics. And if you want to know more about this topic, then there's plenty of other outlets reporting on it too. Unfortunately though, every news source has its bias, and no matter how hard each of us try, we'll inevitably miss a story, or worse, only hear half of the story in the first place. And that's where our sponsor Ground News comes in. Ground News is a website and app that collects thousands of articles to help you better understand the world around you, pulling back the curtain on media bias. For example, this story about Corbyn's new party has been covered by more than 110 sources. We know that of those, 34 come from the left, while 26 articles come from right-leaning outlets. Every story also comes with a detailed view of the bias distribution, factuality scores, and even specific ownership information. But my favourite part of the app and website is the aptly named blind spot feed. It presents you with stories and articles that haven't been reported on one side of the aisle or the other. For instance, if you lean right, you might have missed this story about the other Green leadership contenders attacking Polanski for entertaining the idea of a Corbyn-Green alliance. When it comes to blind spots, it's not just about discovering different stories though. It's also about discovering just how political bias frames the stories themselves. Having a tool that helps you to spot this and helps you take action is a real game changer. It's no secret that here at TLDR News, we're constantly thankful for Ground News. It's such an incredibly useful platform that captures information that you just can't get anywhere else, and keeps you informed in a media landscape that's constantly trying to attract your attention and sway you towards or away from certain political viewpoints. If you're interested in everything that Ground News has to offer, you can get 40% off their unlimited access Vantage plan by using the link in the description, or by scanning the QR code on screen. This offer is only available here, so make sure that you go to ground.news/TLDR or click the link in the description to get started and support an independent news platform working to make the media landscape more transparent.